What's up, y'all? How are you? We're going to give a couple of moments for everyone to start coming in. As you come in, say hello. Let the people know where you're from. Say, hey, what's up? Get acquainted with everybody. I'm actually pretty excited about today's conversation. So tell me how you guys are doing. Happy Sunday. I don't know about y'all, but I'm feeling very lethargic today. That's why I got like my sweatshirt on. We're doing natural glam today. I'm chilling. So today is going to be a pretty laid back discussion. Give y'all a couple of moments. What's up? What's up, y'all? Talk to me. I do have my drink ready. So while we're waiting for people to come in, if you want to get a drink, get settled, go ahead and do that. Little housekeeping notes for those of you who may have not been here before. This is a very interactive discussion, right? So I rely on you guys leaving comments. If I see something that stands out to me, I'll pin it to the screen and we'll talk about it. So definitely let me know if you're feeling the conversation, if you have any strong opinions, I want to see that. And if you are feeling the vibe of this conversation, if you want to support the channel, you can always show love to my Cash App. Not required, but your girl does appreciate the love. If you want to send a super chat, that's appreciated too. But as I always say, YouTube is like a hoe or the pimp. It treats me like the hoe. And they take 30% of the cut. So if you want to show love, I appreciate Cash App. Hey guys, what's up? So I already see some comments in here with viewpoints on ghosting. And so we're just going to go ahead and get into it. I'm very passionate about this topic for reasons that we'll get into. So I have my notes. This live, I'm going to try to keep it as close to an hour as possible. We'll see where the conversation goes, but we here, y'all. We here. So we're going to get into it. Hey, Brother Chavis. Hey, Demetrius. Hey, wonderful. Thank you so much for joining. All right, y'all. So we got about 20 people in here. I don't know how many we'll get, but I think that's good enough. So we'll get started. Hey, Jeff. Happy Sunday. So today's topic of conversation is ghosting. Okay. Now, I have heard a lot of different viewpoints on this topic. Ghosting seems to be something that is getting increasingly popular in this day and age. And again, I've heard different viewpoints on it. You guys have already been on my community tab and the comments on this video letting me know what you think. And so we're going to tap into it. The overarching theme of today is that communication is just something that we all struggle with, honestly. So we're going to talk about all those things, ghosting, and then segue into the issue of communication in these modern day streets. I do want to preface this conversation by saying that everything that I mentioned today, I'm not excluded from it. I very much struggle with communication as well. I'm not out here really ghosting people, but there's definitely some things that I can improve with my communication. And I will say that God has definitely been working on me a lot in many different ways nowadays. But I definitely have been put into a lot of situations lately where I realize that my communication needs improvement, right? And I think that many of us honestly are struggling with communication, specifically how we communicate when we handle conflict or difficult conversations. Okay. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into ghosting. I found an article by Psychology Today. It is called 4 Reasons Why People Ghost, for those of you who want to check it out. Now, I will preface this by saying that when I say ghosting, I am talking about from a relationship/dating standpoint. I know that some people mention ghosting toxic people, abusive situations that can be family, friends, not specific to dating. We'll get into that a little bit later, but for now, we're talking about from the dating perspective. Okay. So, to clarify what ghosting is, to ghost is simply to disappear. You're there 1 minute, answering texts, taking phone calls, available to meet up, and then suddenly you give no responses. Texts are ignored, phone calls are silenced, and any invitations to meet up are left unanswered. You vanish, and the other person is left confused, uncertain, and alone. And it's estimated that about 60 to 70% of emerging adults have ghosted someone else. That's high, y'all. We got to do better. Now, it goes on to say that ghosting generally happens in short term relationships characterized by low commitment and low closeness. Okay. So, when I see that, I think that a big issue is that we have a general disregard for how we impact other people. I have had these conversations with other men. I've had debates with my friends in group chats. My stance, just so that everybody is clear, is that ghosting is never acceptable. If it's not a situation where the person is putting you in harm's way, if it's not abusive, anything like that, I think that a conversation can be had. Okay. Now, some of the pushback that I get from people who think it is okay to ghost is that they feel like they don't owe people anything, right? Or they feel like it's early in the dating process, so they don't really have to have those conversations with people. Like, it's early, why do I have to say something? That person shouldn't be invested this soon. Demetrius, I agree. Ghosting is kind of like stonewalling. For those of you who don't know, stonewalling is a psychological term where you're in a relationship and you reach the point where you just give up, you don't try, like you just go blank. So yes, I do agree with that. So, like I was saying, I think that there's a general disregard for how we treat other people, and a lot of people feel like they don't owe the other person the explanation for why they're ghosting them. But my thing is this, okay? If you feel like I'm not that much of a big deal in your life, right? Why is it so difficult for you to have that conversation? It should be simple, right? So if I don't mean anything to you, it's like, all right, I don't really mess with this person. I should be able to tell them going about my life and it's nothing, right? But that's not really the case. So it is something deeper that's going on. And I think that there's just a general disconnect with us being able to have that conversation again in difficult situations. When someone ghosts, to me, it's saying that your existence, it doesn't hold enough value for my honesty, right? Point blank, period. You guys let me know what you think, but if someone felt like it was that easy to just disregard your feelings, they're saying that you don't matter enough. That's why they didn't have that conversation. Now, I do think that when ghosting happens, there is a level of cognitive dissonance. And we talked about this a few times on my channel. I know that's becoming a buzzword on a lot of podcasts. But in general, cognitive dissonance is a feeling of discomfort that you feel inside, right? When you realize that the way that you're acting, the way that you're moving out here in these streets, it doesn't align with what you say your beliefs or your morals are. And I think that's happening in the case of ghosting. Because if you ask everybody nowadays, everybody is open-minded, they're transparent, they can have difficult conversations, they speak their mind, they're honest, they're good people. So if all of these things were true, then that means that people should be able to have difficult conversations, right? But I think that's when that cognitive dissonance kicks in. So if I say, I'm an honest person, and then I realize that there's a person who I might have gone on a date with, I'm not feeling them like that, but I'm afraid to have the conversation to be honest with them, to let them know I don't like them like that. There is a conflict in that moment because I'm like, damn, I say I'm an honest person, but I really don't want to be honest in this situation. And so in that case, you can either choose to be honest, right? Act in a way that's according to your belief system, or you can adjust what your belief is. And that's when people start making excuses. Yeah, I'm an honest person, but if I don't know the person that well, then I don't really need to be honest, right? Yeah, I'm a very blunt person, but only if I know you a little bit. So I don't really need to be blunt with you if we don't have that rapport. So a lot of that is going on, and that's what I want to dive into. Empire TV 21, is ghosting leaving forever or coming in and out? That is a very good question. See, it's tricky because I think that people ghost and then they do try to return. But in general, I think that if you're dealing with someone on a romantic level, you're contacting them and they're not reciprocating that communication without any explanation, that's ghosting, right? Maybe it could be short term. Maybe they ghost you for 1 week, 2 weeks at a time. But if something didn't happen to justify why they were absent, then I feel like they're ghosting. Cutthroat Nosh, thank you so much for the super chat. If they ghost, they did you a favor. F them. Yes, many people would say that, but we'll go ahead and get into that a little bit more. Chris says cognitive dissonance is when something you always thought was true turns out to be false. That is not exactly what cognitive dissonance is. I think I can see what you're getting at, but again, in general, cognitive dissonance is when you have a belief system, you have a value, and you realize that your behavior or something in the world is happening that contradicts that belief system. And a lot of people, we struggle with cognitive dissonance because we're set in our ways, right? We think that the way that we say things is true, and that's it, right? So any type of information that comes in, we try to reject that. So going back to what I was saying before about cognitive dissonance in this case, what I'm saying is that I think a lot of people have the belief system that they're honest people. If you ask most people, are you an honest person? They're going to say yes. If you ask people, are you a real person? Are you a honest person? They're going to say yes, right? A transparent person. But their actions are not lining up with that. And I think that's when the cognitive dissonance comes in. It means you have to restructure your thinking, or it means that you have to change your behavior, right? And that's what I was getting at before. So in this case, if a person feels like a hypocrite because they realize that they're not being honest with someone and they tell them, yeah, I don't really like you like that. Like, if you don't want to do that, it's easier for you to adjust your behavior and say, well, for this reason and that reason and this reason, I don't have to be honest with them, versus I should just be honest with that person because I believe that I am an honest individual, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. Tell me if you guys have questions about that in the comments, but that's what I think is going on. Mark Cleveland, every man thinks himself righteous. That is correct. Yes. I think that we have really big egos. And that's what I said. When God has been working on me, he's been humbling me in a lot of different ways. And the way that we see ourselves is often a lot higher in a lot of cases. I know some people have issues with insecurities and things, but generally speaking, I think that most people think that we are better people than what we actually are. And that's kind of the point of it. We think that we're these good people. I'm not wrong. Everyone around me is wrong. I can finger point other people's flaws, but I can't speak on my own. That is a major, major issue. Okay. So again, one issue was lack of respect. Now, the reason why I also don't agree with ghosting is because I just try to be a little bit more cognizant of how I'm triggering other people. And I think that act of selflessness, that is something that is missing. Like I just said, we seem to have a sense of hyper awareness when it comes to viewing how other people treat us, right? You did something to me, you're wrong for that. I can easily point out that you did something wrong. But when it's time for us to look in the mirror and address what we did wrong and acknowledge how we treat other people, I don't think that we're so good at doing that. And so I think that when it comes to ghosting, people should just be aware, like, yes, it's easy for you, but what if the person that you ghosted, they have abandonment issues, right? What if this person really had like a bad dating experience before you and they finally got the courage to come back in and start dating, and then you were their first experience and you ghosted them? How does that person feel in that situation? And that's kind of the way that I try to think a little bit more, instead of saying, I don't owe this person that. Okay, but how am I making other people feel? Would I appreciate if somebody did the same thing to me? Now, I know that some people might say, okay, if a person has abandonment issues, for example, that's on them. Like, they need to work on that. They should be healing before they're dating, so on and so forth. Get that. Totally do agree with that. But the reality is that everybody is going to have their triggers, right? We can work on ourselves all we want. Healing is a never-ending journey. You're never going to be 100% whole. And I think that when we say things like that, like, okay, that's a you thing. I don't have to be cognizant or aware or respective of things that you have going on that are triggers. That's kind of like a cop out for taking accountability and addressing the things that we do that show that we move in a flawed manner. So I just don't agree with that. And I think, again, to make ourselves feel better about moving in a funny way, we minimize the importance of the person that we're doing it to. Again, it's okay for me to ghost you because we only went on one date. It's okay for me to ghost you because we've only had a couple of text exchanges. It's not okay. Patricia, hey boo. So Patricia says, I've had it happen recently. I feel he ghosted me for good, but it's cool because he wasn't for me anyway. I ignored many red flags because he was my high school sweetheart and I fell deep for him. I feel it, girl. You said you wasted almost a year and a half with him doing the bare minimum. That is what we call a learning experience, right? I've been there before, and I think hindsight is 2020. Like, I think when someone has an experience of being ghosted, there might be some things that you can pinpoint and realize, okay, I overlooked this. But sometimes it might just be completely out of nowhere. I've talked to some people where they're like, we were having a really good conversation, and then all of a sudden, like, that person disappeared. So it goes both ways. But girl, lesson learned. He didn't deserve your energy. Rejection is a blessing and redirection, as I like to say. Frenchie K 757. No one owes anyone an explanation is what I hear a lot. But I think people just suck at communicating difficult information. Yes, exactly. That's what I've been saying. Like, here's the thing. I'm about to start going all over the tangent, but we're going to go there. When people do something that we don't like, right? I think we've adapted this mindset that you don't have to explain anything to them. I don't have to explain this to you because you should already know, and it's not my job to teach you X, Y, and Z. But then a lot of people will go on social media and they'll rant about people who do X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. That's why you don't trust people. That energy that you use to complain about what a person did is the same energy that you could have used to talk to them about it and came to an understanding. And maybe the issue would have been resolved and maybe it wouldn't have. So I just think, again, it's a cop-out. People don't like having those difficult moments, and we don't like putting effort into anything at all. KB Scoop says, ladies, can we be honest? Y'all manifest this ghosting behavior on yourselves from the men. Can you elaborate on that? Because I don't know what you mean. I really want to understand. We manifest ghosting behavior. The only thing I can see is like if women like were going for men that are emotionally unavailable, and they might be doing that because she herself is emotionally unavailable. But other than that, child, we ain't manifesting no ghosting over here. Positive energy, positive vibes. So yes, please let us know what you mean by that. I did want to play a clip for you guys because this popped up on my feed and I thought it came right on time. I have been wanting to talk about this ghosting thing for a while. And then when this popped up, it was just kind of like confirmation. So we're going to play a quick clip and then we're going to talk about it. Okay.
I don't need to know why. It's okay that you got something going on. Everybody got something going on, bro. We not in season. You can't meet me where I need to be met. It don't matter why you can't meet me there, because that's where the judgment comes in when you start to investigate and want to know why and figure out if it's a good enough reason. Because we feel good judging people if we judging them in a kind light, right? Like if you determine, oh, it's good enough. Nah, bro, I don't care why you ghosted me, my G. You ghosted me.
Okay. And so if you guys don't recognize that, that's from Ace Metaphor. I know y'all seen him come up on y'all feeds, okay? He's the man that's always yelling into the mic. My boy be yelling all the time, but I do like his content because he has really interesting discussions. And the person who was speaking, I actually like him a lot. Like, he very, very intellectual. He makes really good points. But in that clip, I actually disagreed with his logic. And in the comments, there was kind of like a mix of different things going on in terms of perspectives. But the way that I interpreted what he is saying is like, look, if you are moving in a way that I don't like, or you're communicating with me in a way that I don't like, ghosting, I don't really want to know why you did it or why you are the way you are. What matters to me is that you did it and we're not aligned. Okay. It's so interesting saying this because I feel like just recently, I would say that shift in thinking happened for me. I was very much a person who felt that way. If you're not treating me the way I want to be treated, I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to move forward. That's it. Right. There is no explanation. We're not talking about anything. I set my expectations from the beginning and you better come correct. And then I understood the meaning of life school. My girl, Tara Chantel, shout out to Tara. She talks a lot about life school. And it's this idea that people experiences their lessons, right? Everything that we go through in life, it serves a lesson to us. It serves a deeper meaning. The people that we meet, they're a lesson to us. They either show us, hey, I want to be this way, or I'm on the right track to meeting people who are behaving in this manner, or you meet people who mirror things within yourself that you need to fix. Okay. Let that sink in. So if you're attracting people who are ghosting, they might be mirroring some things within yourself that you need to fix. So with that being said, I believe that it is my duty, and I know this is a me thing and everybody doesn't feel this way. I think that it's my duty in this lifetime to help other people be the highest version of themselves and vice versa, right? Every person that I meet, my hope is that we'll be able to connect in some way where you can make me become a better person. With that in mind, I understand that I will also be a lesson to a lot of people. And I talked about this in one of my reels before. You might get along well with some people. Some people might not appreciate your presence, and you teach them that what they did was wrong. You might exit their life, but you taught them a lesson nonetheless. That something that they were doing or something that they weren't doing, showing that they didn't value you being there in the first place. So with that in mind, yes, Chavis, some folks are a blessing. Some are a lesson. I think all people are lessons, but sometimes that lesson that you learn could be a blessing, or it could just be something where it's like, it taught you what you need to know, but it wasn't a positive experience. But yes, I do agree with that. So anyway, I say all of that to say that I think that when someone is doing something wrong, let's clarify the fact that a lot of times people do things and they don't realize that what they're doing is a problem. And a large reason why people don't understand what they're doing is a problem is because people aren't communicating it to them, right? I've had situations with people where they kind of blew up at something that I did. And in talking to them, I realized that it was like a buildup of things, right? So it wasn't just this one thing that you were mad at. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus things that you were mad at, but you never said anything. And I always tell people I can't fix what I don't know, right? So if you don't bring it to my attention that I'm doing something that's offensive to you or something that's problematic, something that might be impacting the way I move in my relationships, I'm probably not going to know to correct it. And if I do learn to correct it, it's probably going to take me a longer period of time to learn that lesson because nobody ever told me. Okay. So with that being said, I have a story time. I always have story times for you guys. But I recently got ghosted by someone, which is very interesting to say. I've been ghosted a few times in my life, but it never was a situation like this. So this guy, I actually liked him. We had gone on I'm going to say 5 or 6 dates. We didn't have sex, in case you guys are wondering. So it wasn't a situation where it was like a hit it and quit it type thing. But we had a really, really good vibe. And then he just kind of disappeared. I feel like one day I sent him a text. He didn't respond. I sent another text. I did try 2 attempts. He didn't respond. And then weeks just went on and we stopped talking. And it was super, super awkward. And so it bothered me, right? And so I was sitting here hell nah, ain't no way. I know sometimes you might have one date with someone, the vibe's not there. But then when you have 5 or 6 dates and the person just disappears, that's a problem. And so it was kind of eating away at me. And I was talking to other people about it, and they're like, kind of what someone said in the beginning. If someone ghosts you, it's their loss, right? All you need to know is that he disappeared. He didn't respect you enough to talk about it. So just move forward. And that really wasn't resonating with my spirit at all. And so a rule that I've implemented for myself is that if it bothers me in 24, 48 hours, I got to say something about it. And so unlike what he said in the video where it's like, I don't need to know your why, I felt like it was helpful to know the why, because knowing why removes the dynamic of you internalizing why it happened, right? So like Patricia was saying, how she got ghosted. Now, when people get ghosted, you might have all these things playing in your head, like what went wrong? Did I say something? Did I do something? Like, what was it that happened? You literally can eliminate all of those feelings and internalizing things if you just ask the person why it happened. Now, you might not get a response, or maybe you might not get the response that you want, but you can at least put the effort out there to ask them why they did what they did. Money, marriage, and media. If you get ghosted, it's your fault. You spent too much time investing in someone who doesn't see any value in the attributes that you offer. I agree with that. Yes. So in hindsight, with the story that I'm talking about with this guy, I feel like there were things that I definitely overlooked, like certain things I noticed where I'm like, yeah, I don't think that we're in the same headspace, or I don't think we're aligned, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt. So I agree with you. But sometimes ghosting happens really quick. So there are a lot of people, for example, on dating apps. I feel like this happens all the time on things like Hinge or Tinder or whatever. A lot of people say that they'll have conversations with someone. They can be texting all the time, and then that person goes ghost. In that case, it's like you didn't really spend too much time investing in someone who doesn't see value, or maybe you didn't have the chance to see that, but they just kind of disappeared. So I hear what you're saying, but I honestly think that sometimes you don't know that. Like, it didn't get to the point for you to know that. Y'all not even gonna let me finish my story. Like, 5 dates and no action, though. That's grown for most men to keep it moving and ghost. Can we talk about that? Okay. So now we're gonna pause. Intermission on my story. We're gonna come back to the story. What is there a number of dates now where someone has to have sex with someone? First question. Second question is, if that's the case, just say we're not on the same page and you want to move forward. Like, I don't think there's a justification to ghost. I had a situation recently with this guy. We had gone on a date, and he was very attractive. And I was so proud of myself because I felt like God was testing me. Very attractive, very much my type. A lot of energy there in the terms of being like physically attracted to one another. Then I realized that he wanted sex after the first date. And so we had an open conversation about it. I was like, look, I'm getting the vibe that you're expecting this. And he was like, yeah, I am expecting this. Like, I'm not really looking for anything serious right now. Cool. Great. We decided not to waste each other's time. That is the mature thing to do. I don't think that ghosting someone and avoiding having that conversation is mature in any way. And that goes back to what we were saying before about people just not knowing how to have difficult conversations. So I don't know. Young Blood TV, sometimes ghosting isn't that deep. Maybe his wife came back from a trip and he didn't want to mess up a good thing. Next question. Next comment. Cutthroat Naj. Yes, 2 dates and no buns, ghost. Oh my God. Are you guys serious? Now, help me understand this, because I feel like this conversation comes up every other live stream that we do. How the freak do you expect women to navigate that? Rewind the question. So I go on a date with you, 2 dates. We have sex, but it don't work out. Now I go to the next person. The next man is expecting sex in 2 dates. Like, help me understand this. So do you advocate for not going on the first date until a lot of conversation is had? Because I can agree with that. Like, if you feel like we shouldn't be going on our first date until maybe about 2-3 weeks after we've had some really in-depth conversations for me to know if we wasting each other's time or not, then that's cool. But if y'all are meeting a woman on Friday, y'all going on y'all first date by like next Friday, I'm sorry, but expecting sex in 2 dates, that's just not. That's just not. That's not it. Patricia, that's why I barely date. Yeah. I mean, hearing comments like this, I'm like, God damn, these dating streets is real. I don't even know if I need to be out here because y'all trying to have people give up the taters in 2 days. What if those 2 days happen within the same week? I don't know you. Oh my gosh. Lord. Mm-mm-mm. Do you give any affection during the dates? What do you mean, any affection? Like physical affection as in kissing, like things like that? Yes, that can happen. So let me know what you're saying by that. Did I give off the wrong impression by kissing him, or are you saying that lack of affection might have caused him to ghost? Please be clear. Please be clear. Okay. Body count. Y'all always love talking about that. We're not doing that today. As an adult, I never asked for sex, but I never had to wait more than 2 weeks unless she's a virgin. However, 5 dates with no action, most men move on. Okay, so here's the thing, and then I'm going to finish my story. The problem that I have with this is that I'm very vocal about how I feel about sex. I have talked about this on my channel several times. In conversations that I have with men, I'm vocal about how I feel about sex. So if I'm telling you up front, like, yeah, I'm not really a person who has casual sex, I prefer to be in a relationship with someone before that happens, why would you sit here and approach me and then ghost me or have an issue with the fact that sex didn't happen within the first few days? Like, I literally told you that's what it was. That's really no different than when men are like, yeah, I don't want a relationship, a serious relationship. And then women walk into it trying to change it. Like, no, take what I said at face value. Sex is not going to happen on the first date. It's probably not going to happen on the second date. So if you're not okay with that, then just don't date me. And then that would avoid or prevent the need for you to ghost. I don't understand that. Most women are not honest. Okay. I guess. Frenchie says, when I was on the market, I would try my best to get the cheeks while getting to know her, but I always respected the ones who were more conservative with it. Okay, so the ones who were more conservative with it, did you ghost them? What do you mean? If there's no sexual tension or I don't feel like it's building, I'd usually leave. But that's the thing. Like, maybe I'm not explaining. I didn't finish my story, so y'all not getting it. Me and this guy, sexual tension definitely was there. Very dope discussion. So now this segues into the next part of my story. Let me finish it, and then we're gonna go into these comments. Okay. So I asked the guy why he ghosted me. And at first his response was, what made you ask me that? And I was like, I'm trying to get better with my communication. This is a situation that I feel is kind of weighing in on my spirit. And I want clarity to know why you did that. You know, if there was something that was off-putting with me, I'd like to know that because that's going to help me in my future dating situations. Right. So this is what I'm telling him over text. So at first in that conversation, he wasn't super receptive. Like, you could tell he was kind of defensive. And he said something along the lines of, what did he say? I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because I don't have any issues with him, to be clear. We talked about it, no hard feelings, but I just want to give y'all a synopsis of what happened. So he said something along the lines of, I just felt like basically my expectations were too high, right? So I was very clear about the fact that I was intentional about dating, and he wasn't ready for that. He realized that dating me would mean like a relationship and not a casual situation. And his words verbatim were, I felt like I didn't, in the short amount of time that we knew each other, I didn't feel like I had to invest that much energy, or that I should have to invest that much energy. So I said, oh, okay, like a little spicy comment, but I left it at that. And I just let him know. I was like, I think that, a lot of men nowadays talk about how they admire honesty and they feel like they're not valued by women, or women treat them this way or that way. And I just want to be clear to you that I was a good person to you. You acknowledged that I was a good person to you. You told me that multiple times, and you still treated me like crap. So let that resonate with you. Like, don't complain that it's no good women out here. If you come across a woman who's treating you well, you turn around and ghost her, right? And he was like, message received. And I was like, okay. That was in the conversation. Then, like a week later, he reaches back out to me and he said, I had some time to think about it. And I realized that I was gaslighting you and you really weren't asking for too much. You just wanted me to be consistent, words match my actions. And I just wasn't in a space to do that because I had trust issues. He had things from his past. And so that's what caused me to treat you that way. And so he went into that a little bit more. But it was a beautiful conversation for me because, one, all of the internalizing that I felt like, oh my God, I did something wrong. What did I do wrong? Like, I don't understand what happened. That was alleviated because he explained that it was definitely a him thing. And I saw somebody say this earlier. Ghosting in most cases is something with the other person. I don't care what anybody says. You cannot tell me otherwise. When you feel the need to ghost someone, that is a deficiency within yourself. So it's usually not the case with you unless you were just super toxic. Again, you put that person in danger, whatever the case may be. So it made me feel better. But I also appreciated the conversation because I think, at least I would hope, is that he walked away from that conversation learning something about himself, right? Learning, oh shoot, like I thought that it was okay to be this way, but this person called me out on my BS. Okay, and now I know not to move in this direction. That's the hope, right? I'm hoping that he doesn't do that to another woman. And so I guess the moral of the story for me is that me being vocal in that situation versus being egotistical and being like, oh my God, how could he ghost me? Whatever, like I'm just cut him off and leave it at that. Like he learned something from that situation. And I learned something from that situation. It was a positive interaction. And I just don't understand why we all can't get to that page, that be on the same page. So that is what happened. Okay. Let me know what you guys think about that. Otho Williams, hey, says ghosting is definitely a self thing. Yes, absolutely. He probably had other options. Yeah. I mean, I don't go into any dating situation, especially out here in Atlanta, thinking that I'm someone's only option. There's a difference between having options and treating someone as if they're an option. Let that sink in. Okay. I can have 5 men that are taking me on dates in my rotation, but my goal is to not treat the men like they're one of 5. Like I want them to feel like I'm giving as much effort as I can. Because that's just not the way that you date. Like you don't want to give people 50% effort. At least I don't think so. But based on these comments, maybe I just have an unrealistic view of dating. MD Ace, we are talking about ghosting. So I was giving a story time about me being ghosted. But ultimately where we are in the conversation is that when someone ghosts, it's a them thing, right? It shows that they're not able to properly communicate in uncomfortable situations. But I also think that if you are a person who gets ghosted and it bothers you, like it's really bothering you, it's on your spirit, like, why did that happen? I'm advocating for asking the person why. Why are you doing this? Why are you acting this way? Just so that you can have a peace of mind and that person might be able to learn from that experience. Okay, so we're going back to the 5 dates thing. 5 dates is too much. Did you kiss him at least? Yes, I said that. So me and the person kissed. But no, I don't think that 5 dates is too much. And you know why I don't think that 5 dates is too much? In his original statement, he said, I feel like we didn't know each other for a long enough period of time for me to feel like I had to put in that effort that you were looking for. So if 5 dates wasn't a long enough period of time for him to feel like he owed me honesty about what his intentions were, how he was feeling, why the freak would 5 dates be enough for me to have sex with him? That sounds crazy. Like this just kind of goes back into the thing where people just rush into sex and we minimize all other intimate aspects of ourselves. But that's a conversation for a different day. No point in asking that. You'll just get a BS answer. But I didn't get a BS answer. I thought that the answer was very genuine. The first answer that I got, it was coming from a place where he was defensive. But when he circled back around and had the conversation, like what I said and how I conveyed it, it made him reflect within himself. And I think that does a lot more. I don't even want to say a lot more damage because it wasn't meant to hurt him. But I think that if you do something wrong and somebody cuts you off or they curse you out, I don't think that that's sitting in your spirit as much. But if you do something wrong to somebody and they're like, you ain't even have to do me like that. Like, I was good to you. We could have resolved this issue like that. Why do you feel like you got to be that way to people? You'd be like, damn, I do kind of feel like a shitty person. And so I think that's what happened with him, and that's why the conversation was beneficial. But okay. Brothers, you making men sound bad. Absolutely. I'm sitting here like, so y'all basically are saying that ghosting is okay if a woman doesn't want to have sex with you. Lord Jesus. Okay. Anyway, so going back to the little notes that I have, like, I'm losing faith in y'all, but we gonna keep moving on. So when I told my friends this story about me just having this conversation with him, it was kind of seen as like an act of bravery, and a lot of people felt like it was out of the ordinary to have these type of conversations, which I'm obviously seeing now. Like, this is a very basic concept. Someone does something wrong, you want to express to them that they did something wrong and maybe ask them why they did it. This is not something that is like super crazy or a very abstract way of thinking, but I think it just goes to show, it reinforces the fact that we don't know how to have difficult conversations. So let's switch over to general conversation or communication, because I know that some people brought up ghosting people, like friends or family. That's a whole nother topic. Like, I feel it. I'm there. My experience with communication or dealing with conflict, it's been a little bit rocky in my life. Okay. So I get it. I get the communication piece. I struggle with conflict because my family, we didn't really have a safe space for people to communicate growing up. And I think this is kind of what's happening with a lot of people. And I'm interested to know what you guys' experiences were, because a lot of people come from households where it's like your children are seen but not heard, as they say, right? So you're not really allowed to vocalize how you feel. If you do vocalize what you feel, it's seen as being disrespectful to authoritative figures. So that could be older siblings, it can be your parents, your grandparents, whoever the case may be. And I think that we have kind of grown to internalize that way of thinking when it comes to vocalizing what we feel as adults. And I definitely struggle with that. So conflict, it makes me really uncomfortable because I don't want to say things like the wrong way, or I feel like if I do try to say things, the person's not going to be receptive to it anyway. So what's the point in saying something? Kind of like someone previously said, I forgot who said it in the comments, but they were like, oh, it's no point in asking someone why they ghosted because you're going to get a BS answer. But how do you know that though? Like, these are just connections that we make in our brain. We make assumptions about people and we don't give them the room to correct their behavior or take accountability for things or just have a discussion about it because we assume that we know the way that people are going to move. So, yeah, I mean, I think I struggle with that. I do a lot of internalizing when I'm upset with someone. And I think that's kind of what was happening now. So going back to what we were saying about communication, because some people were like, it's okay to ghost if the person was toxic to you, if it's an abusive situation. And I agree with that, right? So if you have anybody in your life who, if you try to stand up for yourself, you feel like they're going to put you in harm's way or anything like that, I get wanting to just totally disconnect from them. Whew. Garrett Van Powell, talk about it. Family members ghost one another even while remaining physically present. Shots to the heart. Family, y'all already know how I feel. That's kind of like a trigger word for me. I've already talked about how I feel like I'm the black sheep of my family. And so with my family, what's crazy is like, I don't ghost people really. I don't ghost people, but I definitely cut people off, which some might argue that cutting off could be an extension of ghosting. You guys let me know how you feel. But for me, it's like, we'll probably get into a disagreement and then I'll just fall back from the person, right? And I'll be like, whatever, that person, they're toxic. I don't have time for their energy. But I kind of think that we label things as toxic that aren't truly detrimental to our safety. And it's because we're afraid of transparency. So when you guys are saying like, oh, it's okay to disconnect from someone because they're toxic, what does that mean? Because if a person, like I said, if you're able to vocalize something to someone and they're not going to put their hands on you or just do something to, again, put you in harm's way, is it really toxic? I don't know. All right, so let's go into cutting off because I see some comments on that. So Jeff says, isn't cutting someone off the same as ghosting? My answer is no. Not necessarily, I should say. And the reason why I say that is because ghosting is when you cut somebody off. Again, for one, I think ghosting is usually used in the dating sense. But if we're just opening it up to all people, if I ghost you and we never had a disagreement before, I never told you that I felt this way about you, like you truly just don't understand why I removed you from my life, that's ghosting. Cutting someone off could be like, I've told you a couple times, like, I don't vibe with the way that you operate, or we might have had a big blow up. There was a communication there. So something happened. You know why I cut you off. So I think that's the difference between ghosting and cutting people off. But then there are some people who just cut people off without any sort of explanation. So that can be linked to ghosting. Nick Jones says, "Will call me James St. Patrick. I was ghosting before that ish had a word." Yeah, I mean, I appreciate your honesty, but I guess the question is why? Why did you do that? I guess for the people who think it's okay to ghost, right? What are you losing by telling the person why you're cutting them off? Even if it's just a quick text, like, thank you for your time. I don't really vibe with you no more. Wish you the best. How long would it take to send a text message like that? Like, why is that something that you cannot communicate to people? I really want to hear solid answers for why you guys feel in situations where abuse, very, very dangerous situations are involved. What is a good reason? What's a justification for ghosting someone, not telling them why they turned you off? Maybe you just didn't like them because of their personality, whatever the case may be. Why do you feel like that's okay? Because I don't think that there is one, but please let me know. Let me go through some of these comments because I see there's a lot. Bear with me, y'all. I am a one-woman show. I don't have any moderators, admins in here, so I'm trying to get through these comments. If you guys want to volunteer to help, your girl would really appreciate it. But for now, just give me a couple moments. Ghost toxic and block them. It's uncomfortable. Yeah. Yes. It's uncomfortable, right? But then the thing is like, it's uncomfortable, yes. Is that a you thing though? Like, why do you not feel like it's a character flaw that you need to fix within yourself? You're making someone else suffer from the fact that you cannot handle uncomfortable situations. So why isn't the takeaway that you should fix that within yourself? Let me know. I think ghosting, cutting off is impulsive. To some extent, it's a thoughtless act because we're not invested. Is ghosting or cutting off impulsive? I don't think it's impulsive. I think people make a very conscious decision that they're going to ghost. And you know why? Let's say I decided to ghost somebody the first day go by. All right. You let day 2, day 3, day 4, you had all these days to change your mind and be like, maybe I should just communicate with this person, and you didn't do it. So at that point, it's like premeditated. That's not impulsive. You kept going on with it. So no. Kagon 415. I was ghosting because the women I was dealing with were mentally unstable. I had to step back and analyze why I was attracting these types of women. Okay, yes, agree with analyzing why you attracted these types of women, but what is mentally unstable? Did you feel like you couldn't express to them? 2 questions. First question, Did you feel like you weren't able to express to them that you weren't interested because you thought they would harm you due to being mentally unstable? And then question number 2, if these women were already mentally unstable, did it ever cross your mind that ghosting them, which could be triggering for them in various different ways, might be more detrimental to them than just being honest? That kind of goes back to being like selfless and taking the other person's feelings into consideration. Not y'all still talk about this story time. Tynesha was playing making that dude wait. Okay, let's talk about this. 5 dates. I told y'all we went on 5 dates, right? I didn't tell y'all what the time span was of these 5 dates. So we went on 5 dates within a period of like a couple weeks or so. I'm sorry. I don't care what the people in this chat think. I do not think that knowing somebody for 2 weeks is long enough for me to want to have sex with them. And that's just because I know myself. When I have sex, I'm emotionally invested in with people. You know, I'm expecting something long-term to come out of it. So I'm not going to have sex with someone that quick if I'm not sure that's where things are going, which obviously in this case they were not. So if I would have had sex with this man, right, he already said he wasn't ready for a relationship. So what do y'all think the end goal of that would have been? He would have smashed, and then we would have been in a situationship, and then my feelings would have been disturbed. So I wasn't playing, and I was honest again about that. Like, you can't say a person is playing with you if I told you from the beginning I wasn't going to let you have sex. 5 dates is crazy. It's the bro wallet was screaming. So somebody asked if I paid for the dates. I didn't pay for all of the dates, but I actually did come up with dates myself. Okay. So it wasn't like he was just always coming up with ideas for things. But even still, like, you have a choice to not pay for dates, right? So do something free if you're trying to get to know somebody. It's not an excuse. Like, this whole paying for dates in exchange for sex dynamic it's always been stupid to me, because I'm okay with going on free dates. If I wasn't a woman who was okay with free dates, I would get it, but we could literally go somewhere for free. We could walk in the park and talk, and that would be a date, and I would be okay with that. So try again. No. You did right by not smash and quit, but that could have been a reason for him ghosting. I don't know if you joined the chat late. We already explained why he ghosted. He said he ghosted because it was a him thing. Like, he had trust issues from his past. He knew that I was a woman who didn't want a casual situation, so it would mean a relationship, and he wasn't ready for that. So him ghosting was a him thing. And I think that we have to stop giving people excuses like that, deflecting why they ghosted. I'm curious to know your why. But when I'm asking you why, I want to know why you did that action. Like, that's a you thing. That's your chance to shine and take accountability. But pushing it back on the other person is like a no, because I didn't do anything to him for me to put him in danger where he couldn't be honest. Am I losing my mind here? Like, I don't know. Like, maybe I have a warped idea of dating, but no, it's just not. It's not an excuse. 5 dates is too long. It's known that women have no problem giving it up after 1 date when they like the guy. But then that goes into, are we supposed to just have sex with people because we like them? Because I like you, does that mean that you are a good long-term partner? When you guys are vetting women, right, you might like them in the beginning, but that doesn't mean that you commit to them long term, right? You have guidelines for that next level. So I have guidelines for the next level of sex. I like you, cool. That's why I went on a date with you, but I don't know you enough to know if I want to be intimate in that way. So, oh Lord, women are master gaslighters. Right now, I feel like I'm being gaslit right now. Okay, so I don't know. A lot of men in this chat are making me feel gaslit at this moment. You are not about to sit here and make me feel bad for taking my time with sex, but then turn around and complain that women give up sex too quick and we're harlots and we do this and that. We're whores. Like, it, y'all, make it make sense. Make it make sense. You're supposed to go on dates with the guys you like, not the ones that you're unsure of. Yeah, I went on a date because I liked him. but I don't think that means that after a few dates, I'm going to have sex with you. Or am I tripping? Like, are you, and guys, please let me know in the chat. This would be helpful for me and the women. Do you feel like women should only go on dates with guys when they're absolutely ready to have sex with them? So, like, date one, I know I want to jump your bones. That's the only time we should go on a date. Let me know. This do make modern dating sound ridiculous. Yes. Like, this is, I just don't, I feel like we are in a vicious cycle, and I think that conversations like this just make it more evident because everybody is struggling with dating. And I think the reason why we're struggling with dating is because we struggle with vulnerability, we struggle with transparency, we struggle with difficult conversations, right? And that's where the ghosting is coming in. But we're so quick to jump in bed with people. So then we have these feelings, right? Because all these endorphins are being transmitted during sex, and we think that we have deep connections to people or feelings for people who we really don't know. And then y'all complain that dating is happening like in negative ways, like you can't find anybody of value. People are having kids and not staying together. This is why. Are you guys crazy? Like, oh my goodness gracious. What is going on today? If I notice that they have. I got too many responsibilities as an adult. I'm not going to waste my free time that I only get 1 day a week on casual sex. You need to prove that you're compatible. Take time to get to know a lady. I agree. I do agree. Thank you for being the voice of reason in this chat. um, Tynesha, would you date a man who's a virgin if you're not trying to rush into sex? Absolutely. I would date a virgin. I literally just had this conversation with my friends, which I thought was super funny that you brought this up. I would definitely date a virgin. Here's the thing. I think that sex is important, right? I'm not naive to think that sex doesn't matter in relationships. I think that it's a way to express yourself. I think it's a way to show that you care about somebody. But I also think that a lot of things with sex can be taught. At least is how I think. So I'm okay with dating a virgin. If there's any virgins out there, holler at me. Because I would. It not a thing. Not a thing for me. You're right. If a woman sleeps with me too fast, the long-term commitment becomes questionable. Hmm. Well, I'm a born again virgin. Me too. Me too, brother. We on the same wavelength. Yes. Oh my gosh. Man, be the man that she breaks rules for. I think that I don't know. I feel like some of these comments make me feel like you guys maybe are dealing with people who have not reached a certain point in their journey, or maybe you guys, no offense to y'all, haven't reached a point in your journey yet where you can separate desires from logic, right? And I think that if you keep doing the same things and expect different results, that's insanity. And so what you guys are saying, like, oh, don't wait, blah, 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 etc. Women have done that and they realize that that's not working. And so now I take a different approach to dating. Everybody won't agree with it. That's fine. That means that you're not for me. But I think we just have to do a better job of accepting that people have viewpoints that are different than ours. Like my beliefs are my beliefs. I feel this way about sex. And nobody can change my mind about that. So you can either respect it. We could be cool. We could be homies. If you can't take the heat. But if you think you can move forward, then move forward. And the crazy thing is like, I don't even have a set time frame. Like I'm not the person who's like, oh, I have to wait 90 days or we have to be married before sex happens. I never said that. I just said I want us to have a stable commitment and I want to feel comfortable having sex with you. There is no time frame on that. So it's like, if you can't respect that, then what you mean? Move forward. Move forward. Point blank period. Suddenly this became a conversation about casual sex, but I'm here for it. Thank you, Textual Chatter, for this super chat. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Patricia said, I ain't dating no virgin. Alex, talk more about not being able to speak your mind to authority. What do you mean by that? I really want to know. And when I see a comment, we're going to go back and talk about it because I feel like you might be onto something, but I want to know what you mean. SE says casual sex is detrimental for the mental health for men and women. What's so fascinating of constantly catching bodies and only having temporary relations? Yeah, I've just kind of come to a conclusion that I'm going to say men, since men are mostly the ones who commented about my viewpoints on sex. I think that women are the gatekeepers of sex. And I think that really bothers some men. And so they'll try to steer women away from how they feel about navigating their sexuality. And I just don't align with that. Like, you can tell me 50 men could line up in front of me and be like, you're absolutely insane for making somebody wait 5 dates to have sex. And I'm going to say that's fine because I'm firm in my beliefs. Like, you can't shake somebody up when they're very set in who they are and what they believe in. And I'm just not an advocate for casual sex. I think that it's detrimental, kind of like what you said, mental health more than it's beneficial. And I just value my mental health, my sanity, my sexual health to be out here doing that. It's just what it is. I think the thing is a lot of guys that are taking girls on dates aren't getting cheeks. Yet dudes putting in negative effort with women have 4 baby mamas, and the effort guys get frustrated. I think that's fair, right? But in the same vein, I think that if I'm not a woman who is choosing men with multiple baby mamas, or if I'm not a woman who has kids by multiple different men, that doesn't apply to me. So please don't take your frustrations about other situations and apply it to women that have nothing to do with that situation, right? So I think your comment would be valid for me. Like, if it was like, oh, you made this dude wait 5 days to have sex, or you still didn't have sex after 5 dates, but then the next week you had sex with this dude who ain't even take you on a date. That's fair. But I'm not having sex with anybody is the point I'm making. Like, I'm not having sex with anybody, and I prefer not to deal with men who have kids, especially not multiple baby moms. So why can't that be my standard? Women, we just got to set the bar higher. I stand on that. If every woman had these same beliefs, this conversation wouldn't even be a thing, because men would just fall in line and be like, all right, we know that sex not happening. Trying not to curse. We know that sex is not happening within 5 dates. So we just got to get used to that. You adjust accordingly. My only criticism is cut it off after date 3 if you don't see him in your long-term future. Yeah, but that's the thing I did though, right? I liked him. It wasn't like I didn't like him. I just wasn't ready to have sex with him. You can like someone without being ready to have sex with him. Y'all know that, right? PSA, you can like someone and not be ready to have sex with them. That's a thing. That used to be a thing a lot back in the day, but I see now it's not a thing. But I actually did, and I was vocal about the fact that I liked him. So just because I have sex with you or didn't have sex with you doesn't mean that I don't like you. I don't know. Okay. It's about leverage. Do you contain the qualities to demand sex on the first date or to make a man wait? Very, very good question. So I think that the latter part of the question is for me. Do I contain the qualities to make a man wait? I'm going to say yeah, because after we had this conversation, he tried to circle back around. So obviously he felt like I had some value after we've discussed those things. But yeah, I mean, outside of him, I do believe that I have great things to offer people. And I don't think that I have to minimize myself to busting it wide open on a first date just for someone to see that I have value. Thank you for your question, though. Women hold all the power with sex. Yes, absolutely. Days 15. Thank you so much. I respect the hell out of a woman that chooses to place a high value on sex. Too many people view sex as a recreational activity and not an intimate personal act. Do agree. And I recently did a collab with Scary to Remarry. Shout out to him. So if you haven't checked out his content, please do so. Very, very positive dialogue. Married man, he gives a lot of great gems, right? We were talking about the fact, again, that sex is seen as being less intimate than having difficult or intimate conversations. And this whole conversation just proved that. Like, it was an argument about why he couldn't have a conversation with me, to just say, this ain't it. I can't do this. Like, it was nice to know you, but I don't think I can do this with you. But it was crazy, the thought of me waiting to have sex because that's an intimate act to me. That's something that's not resonating. So it's like, it was okay for him to just not be able to vocalize something, right? But it wasn't okay for me to want to do something that's way more intimate, like sex. Why do we do that? Like, why do we think that way? I don't, it just doesn't make sense. Kendrick 87, what is ghosting? 24 hours of no communication. Ladies, I'm interested to know what you guys think about this. Okay. I don't think that ghosting is 24 hours with no communication. Now I do think, obviously we're adults and life happens. So there are going to be moments where we're busy and we can't just text people all day. Now, this came up in a conversation that I saw recently. If somebody can go 24 hours without speaking to you, you might question like where you stand with that person. And that's valid. I get that. But it's not necessarily ghosting. I think the biggest thing is like, if I send you, matter of fact, let me tell you what I think ghosting is. Okay. I send you a message, right? You don't respond. And let's say 24 hours goes by. But I check your Instagram and you're sharing stories, you're posting on your profile, you're on social media. So I know that you're free. Like, you have clearly shown that you're available, but you're just choosing not to respond to me. I think that's a sign that a person is probably trying to ghost you. But that's my take. I'd really love to know what you guys think about that. Once they have. Yes, thank you so much. A lot of ladies can't control themselves once they have sex with a man. So it's in their best interest to withhold sex until they are getting what they're looking for from the man. Yes, 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 yes. But the problem is, casual sex has become so normalized that this way of thinking is rare, right? And also, I know that there might be mixed viewpoints on this. Something that I'm realizing is like, I don't think that we give people grace in the sense that we understand that they might grow and want to make better decisions. And I just feel the comments coming in. Let me explain what I mean. A common thing that men will say is like, well, I'm not going to wait to have sex if you're not a virgin. Why do I have to be a virgin for me to say I don't want to have sex with you on the first night? Like, you don't even know my sexual background with the person I was intimate with or the people I was intimate with to know how long I made them wait. But because I'm not a virgin, you automatically assume that I'm supposed to have sex with you when you want me to do it. Why do we think like that? And if I did do that in the past, if I was a woman who I engaged in casual sex, why do I not have the ability to decide, yeah, that's not me. I don't want to do that anymore. Are people not allowed to change? I guess is the question. Because I'm going to say, I don't think that we give people grace to change. Someone left a comment on one of my videos that I thought was interesting. And it said that women, we are always expected to be mature and be perfect from day one. Because the moment we make a mistake, it kind of taints our image. Where in the reverse, men are kind of praised for making mistakes in the beginning and then turning around. And you kind of see this a lot when you have the men who are like, yeah, I used to smash 50 women. I used to be a player. Then I met this girl and she changed my life. And now I'm a good man. Like, he had the room to grow, but women don't have the room to grow. And I hate to make it a man versus woman thing, but this is just kind of like, this is kind of like the vibe that I'm getting. Okay, let's see. Get into these comments. Thank you. You are amazing. Thank you so much for tuning into my live. I appreciate you. Ghosting is okay if you're just dating without any commitment. So you mean not in a relationship? Like, what is dating without commitment? Because a commitment to me will be a relationship. So you think like No matter how many dates you go on with somebody, it's just okay to ghost them. What do you guys think about that? It's a no for me. What is your age bracket for dating? I'm glad you asked that. So I recently put something on my story where I said I'm going to start dating men 35 and up. And I was kind of like joking when I said that, but I also am kind of serious at this point because I realized just like looking at some of the comments from people in my age bracket, I don't think I'm going to have success. I think I either need to date like a church guy or just date someone who's at least like 10 years older than me, like 5 to 10 years older, maybe even older than that. I date somebody grandpappy now. I like older men. So I'm going to say what I want to say is at least 35 is what I'm aiming for nowadays. Because I don't know, just the experiences that I'm having lately with dating, with this whole ghosting dynamic, or not just being able to communicate, hey, I'm not ready for this, or I'm not ready for this with you. The lack of maturity in those conversations, or just being considerate of other people and being selfless, I think that's something that a lot of people who are my age are struggling with. So yeah, very long answer, but that is definitely my age bracket nowadays. Okay. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm 55. Okay, you 37. Listen, I'm telling you. And what I will say though, older men, this used to intimidate me when I didn't know what I wanted. Wow, I think this is a moment of reflection for myself. Older men used to intimidate me when I wasn't ready for commitment or I didn't know what I wanted, because they were very intentional about dating and they'll tell you like, I want this, this, and this. And I think that when you are intentional about what you want, you will scare away people who are not at that phase in their life. And I think that's kind of what's happening with these ghosting situations. So, yeah, I mean, hey, that might be a reason why that's happening as well. Wow, very, very spicy questions in here. My goodness. I was thinking you need a legit Christian boy. Man, listen, if you know somebody, send them my way. As you're saying, consider you. Do the side of your looks do? You're saying you're consider. I want to answer that, but I don't know what you're saying. I never even thought about this. I'm gonna blame biology. Explore the web. I wonder if it's ever appropriate to go. Should comprehension meet communication? Dude, I feel like this isn't to you, but I'm going to keep saying the same thing. Like, I don't think it's ever appropriate to go. Every single comment that I've heard in here tonight is absolutely selfish. And it's a cop out for why people cannot be honest with other people. Like, I still have not heard a solid answer that tells me why it's okay to go someone who is not doing any sort of harm to you. We got to do better, y'all. Like, this is not it. This is not it. This is really, really bad. You definitely need an older man. I know. I'm going to go 40 and I'm 40. I'm going to go younger because what I seek is family. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and this is the thing, like, I feel like you just got to be okay with searching or dating people who match what you're looking for long term. So I think my biggest frustration, kind of like what I was speaking about before, I don't like the fact that men approach me. And like I said, I'm very vocal. I'm on this live with 56 of y'all right now telling you guys that I don't engage in casual sex, right? Somebody will watch this and still think that they can pursue me and sway my way of thinking. And it's like, why you do that? That's just the biggest thing. Like, stop pursuing people who don't align with what you want and then give them reasons for why they should change their values. That's just not it. Some people tend to ghost as a means to protect the other person. It's weird, but I've seen it before. The Black intellectual. Give me more details on this. Or anybody, please chime in. When do you think that it would be protecting the other person to ghost them? And how did you reach that conclusion? Is it something that they said where you felt ghosting was better for them, or is that something that you concluded on your own? because my thought process is that people who think like this, they probably concluded on their own that it was better to ghost them versus telling the truth. I don't think that any person would say that ghosting is a way to protect them, because it's usually, like we said before, detrimental to the person's well-being. Some people feel like they will ruin the other person's life and they will feel bad putting them through it. Okay. Okay. Glad that you said this, because I think in that situation you can just say, I think that you're a great person. I don't think I'm ready for you. Or I don't believe that I would be beneficial to your life. You can still communicate that, right? What is the reason why that can't be communicated to the person? Because you're still protecting them. You told them why you made that decision. The main difference is like you're just communicating why you did it. Mm. Wow. Okay. I don't care about the truth if it doesn't benefit me. Do you guys agree with that? I always want to know the truth. I do. And that's just because I'm a person who values honesty. So I think that knowing the truth is always going to benefit me. But to each their own, to each their own. Some people. The DJ Gray Hat says, I don't think it's inappropriate to ghost. Looking back, I don't think I ever, I don't think it's appropriate to ghost. Looking back, I don't think I ever have. I'll share how I feel. And if you don't respect it, there's nothing else to be said. And that is not ghosting. Yes, it is very simple. Like, I feel like this is a very logical way of thinking, but I'm almost wondering if, like, do you remember in the beginning, for those of you who weren't here, we talked about cognitive dissonance, right? And I said that the reason why a lot of people justify ghosting is because they don't want to feel bad about themselves for not being an honest and straightforward person. So they will do these mental gymnastics to come up with reasons why it was okay or why it was valid for them to ghost. And literally, this is what I'm seeing in the comments. I feel like you guys might be you might be experiencing cognitive dissonance. Or I guess the better thing to say is, for those of you who think that ghosting is okay, would you say that you consider yourself an honest person? Or are you kind of accepting of the fact that you're not a very honest person, you're not straightforward, and you don't care about other people's feelings? Do you have those conversations with yourself? I'm really curious to know. Mm. Grid man pow. Yes. I wish I had the little the board so I could do sound effects. Hallelujah. Yes. If you protect the person from the reason you ghosted them, you also protect them from the opportunity to become better people. I agree with that. I agree with that. Some of the most beneficial conversations that I've had that helped me grow as a person is when people told me that I did something that they didn't like. They expressed it to me in a way that was receptive to me. And then I make those corrections. Like, yeah, you can decide not to deal with me, but at least you told me how you felt and then I could do better. Right. So if you're ghosting someone because you think that they're too clingy, they're asking for too much from you, communicate that to them, because they might need to know that for their next situation so they can adjust if needed. But you're kind of robbing people of that ability to grow if you don't have those conversations. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier when I'm like, I feel like, life school, as Tiara says, you're here to teach people a lesson. And you don't have to stay in their life to teach them a lesson, but at least give them that feedback. Like, why are we still against giving people feedback? Mm. When you know they won't take no for an answer. Okay. Then you stop responding, right? So if I told you, I don't see this moving forward, like, I just want to end communication. That's not ghosting you because I told you. Now, if that person continues to try to push it and talk to you after that, just don't respond. You didn't ghost that person. You vocalized what you felt. But to say, I'm not going to tell this person the truth because I don't think they're going to take no for an answer, you came up with that conclusion. You didn't give the person the chance to receive it. Stop making decisions for other people or assuming you know how other people are going to think. I don't know. Patricia, help me out here. Like, I just feel like maybe what I'm saying is just like, pew, like I'm on planet Mars and you guys are here on Earth looking at me like, what the hell wrong with this girl? Like, I don't know if this is just like I said, I used to be the person who avoided difficult conversations. It's something that I'm still working on. Like, I realize that's a character flaw within myself, but that's something that I actually acknowledge within myself. But it doesn't sound like a lot of people are acknowledging that that is a character flaw. You're not responsible for someone's personal growth. I actually disagree with this. I disagree. And we talked about this earlier. And I think that just kind of speaks to like who you are as a person and what your values are. I think that the people who are active in my life right now, we are there to help each other grow. Right. That's why people like being around people who are successful or maybe doing better than them, because you can observe their behaviors and you can adjust accordingly, right? Or you have conversations with them, they give you knowledge and it makes you want to adjust things about yourself. I don't believe in not giving grace to people, but I also just care about people too. So I don't know. I don't get it. Tynesha talks, you're not married. Yeah, I ain't gonna get married if these men out here thinking like this. I guess it just ain't gonna happen for me, because what the fuck is going on? Like, seriously. People with good communication skills do not ghost, period. Yes. And that's what I'm talking about. So in general, just thinking about communication, I think that we all assume that we're better communicators than we really are, right? And so even just to take a step outside of ghosting, when we talk about general communication, a lot of people have this viewpoint that I can say whatever I want, when I want to say it, however I want to say it, and you can either receive this message or you don't. And that to me is just the actual meaning of poor communication. Like, if you're a good communicator, you'll be able to get your message across or get your point across, but you say it in a way that the person on the receiving end will be receptive to, right? So if I really want you to understand something that you might need to correct within yourself, I'm not going to come at you with attacking language. I'm going to like actually have an open dialogue, because my goal is to communicate. So I guess we just got to decide, like, do we want to communicate or do we want monologues? And I think a lot of people have the monologue type of mentality. Oh my God, I did not mean to pin where it said blue balls. The DJ Gray has said ghosting is a passive aggressive thing. Yeah. And not even ghosting, but cutting off, because we were talking about this before we kind of went on a little sidebar. I recently had a conversation with my counselor. Shout out to therapy, because therapy be helping. And we talked about this. And I realized that for me, like when people make me upset, as I said, I don't like conflict. So for me, I either cut people off or I get really, really cold. Like, let's say you and I are in the same room and you do something that pisses me off. And I might not say something, but I have an attitude. I get really quiet. Like, you could just feel that my energy is off. That's passive aggressive. And that's something that I've learned that I have to fix within myself. And that kind of goes into ghosting as well. These are all passive aggressive traits. Like, you guys, like, we got to learn how to communicate. Like, I don't know if it's a social media thing or, everybody is just super guarded because we all have our own backgrounds, our things that make us be the way that we are, but we really suck at communicating. We watch people talk online all day, but when it comes to actually having a conversation with people about difficult things, we can't do it. I don't know. It's just, Alonzo, I haven't heard from him since. Cut off cold equals ghosting. Okay, that's fair. Cut off cold, yeah. If you cut off somebody, you don't tell them why you cut them off, that is definitely ghosting. Same with sarcasm. That's also passive aggressive and something I'm trying not to do anymore. Yeah. I agree. Communication is like throwing a ball. You can throw it as hard as you can in a way that could cause harm, or you can toss it gently in a way that's easy to receive. I like that. Can we let's put that quote somewhere. I agree. Yeah. But I think, like I said before, a lot of people have a monologue mentality. And it's not really about communication for a lot of people. When you think about it, when someone finally gets to the point of saying how they feel about something, it's often when they're already upset about multiple things. Like it's kind of like a buildup of things. So at that point is, I'm saying this because you pissed me off and I'm kind of venting and getting this off my chest versus, okay, you did something in this moment. I didn't like it. Let's correct it. Let's talk about it and move forward. I think we just have the cut off and move forward mentality. That's just something that we all, myself included, struggle with. And I think we have to unlearn that. Life is not as ideal as you make it sound. People have flaws. Right. I understand that people have flaws, right? Which is why I'm saying that if somebody does something wrong, then you should tell them. If I'm not mistaken, I think you were the one who said it's not your job to help people grow. I understand that people have flaws. That's why I want to help people grow, right? Everybody is flawed. But if I care about you or if I have entered your life, God has brought us together for whatever reason. If you did something that bothered me and I feel like we just don't align and we can't move forward, I'm gonna tell you. Right? Like I don't know. I don't know. Why do we owe anyone an explanation? Because I think that in the reverse, we would want an explanation. I think that a general problem is that when it comes to ourselves, right? Like the previous person said, we all have flaws. Okay. I'm assuming that he was talking about ghosting, like that's a flaw, right? We all have flaws. We expect people to be receptive to that. We all have flaws. When I do something, just try to be understanding of that because nobody's perfect. But then in the reverse, when people do something to us, we don't give them grace. So I think that's why you give people an explanation. You give people an explanation. Acknowledge your shortcomings. So if you're the ghoster, you should be giving people an explanation for why you can't live up to their standards versus ghosting them. And then in the reverse, if someone did something that was like a turn off for you and you feel like you don't want to move forward, tell them that so that they can grow. I don't know. I just feel like maybe I'm not of this earth. Maybe I'm not of this earth. Ghosting is childish and cowardly behavior. Yes, absolutely. Some people are just selfish. Yes, I think a lot of people are selfish. Dating Tanisha equals wait. What does that mean? That's fair. Sometimes I'll get quiet or won't respond to do some introspection. I do that too. But one thing that I've kind of learned, like let's say somebody comes at me and they're like, Tanisha, I really didn't like when you did this, this, and that. I'm trying to get into a space where I don't respond from an emotional state. And so I'll tell them, okay, thank you for telling me this. I just need a couple moments to process what you said. And I think it's okay to do that, right? Just tell them that you need time to process. If you really do, like if you cannot respond from a state that will help healthy conversation, then I think that's fair to do. But being passive aggressive and having an attitude and huffing and puffing and rolling your eyes, like that's not cool. That's where the passive aggressiveness comes in. I have no Tanisha equals spaceship. I know I'm an alien. I'm an alien, man. Oh, goodness gracious. Thank you, Van. I appreciate you. I think this is what we would say, like we've reached the point of an impasse. So I understand that some people I understand that some people will walk out of this conversation and be like, yeah, at the end of the day, I'm still gonna ghost people. And that's your prerogative. But KB School, can you please let us know what is behavior that earns someone the right to be ghosted? Let's start there. I think this might be, I really want us to reach some sort of progress in this conversation so I could walk away with a better understanding. Because another thing that I'm trying to get better with is understanding that everybody doesn't move the way that I do. And if you move differently, I don't want to just disregard the way that you move. So KB School, please let the people in the chat know what is a behavior that someone can do, or behaviors plural, that earns them the right to be ghosted. Fair enough. Can I know? Because you never. Might have to make it a panel style question. A panel style question. Do we want to do that? It's 9:30. It's Sunday. Should we do a panel? The last time we did a panel, though, we were literally on this jump for like 3 hours. I try to make them shorter so that when people catch the replay, it's not like a whole lot. But we'll see. We'll see. If you guys say you want that, then we might do a little bit of panel style. The only thing that justifies ghosting is disrespect for a hateful speech. And even then, we should have courage to put people in their place. Yes. I agree. I do agree. But I think it's just you and I, Days. Just you and I. Realistically, how long should a man wait for sex? Is there a number on that? Is how long should a man wait for sex? I don't know. I don't think I can answer that because I'm not a man. So men, tell me, how long do you guys think that you should wait for sex? I would like to think that if you reach a point where things are going really well, let me think about this before I respond. I think if the woman tells you that she has a fixed time frame in place, for example, I don't want to have sex until I get married, and you decide to move forward with her, because you move forward with her and you guys are dating, you should probably wait until marriage, right? If she doesn't give you a time frame, I think y'all just talk about it. Y'all figure it out together. Hey, I'm ready to have sex. Like, this is really important to me. And if she's not willing, y'all got to figure out if it's worth moving forward. But you guys both have that conversation. At least that's what I think. Until he is married, that part. That part, right? Yes. I remember my roommate ghosting a girl for asking him to pay her phone bill after one date. Okay, yes, that's probably an undesirable behavior, and I feel it. But why he just couldn't be like, yeah, no, I'm not on that type of time, and I don't think we can move forward. How quick would it have been to send a text message saying that? That's just what I'm saying. Like, people just avoid the conversations. A man should wait 1 month, 2 biweekly checks. 1 month, 24 hours. There's always a number, an estimate. Okay, so I guess so men, we here right now, okay? All right. Men, and I've talked to men about this, and this is where I feel like the disconnect comes in and I start to lose respect for the way y'all be moving. If you're saying that you in your head have a fixed time frame, I think you need to communicate that in the beginning, like when both parties are setting their expectations, right? So when you guys are kind of getting into the phase of a few dates, if you really feel that strongly about sex and you're like, I expect to have sex within this amount of time, you should say that. But y'all don't say that because y'all feel like it will turn women off if you tell them the truth, which is borderline manipulative. But it's like, you guys are, if you know that that's your expectation, your guideline, your criteria for a relationship, then you say that. So are you guys communicating that? Because I can't imagine you saying as a guy, I expect to have sex in a month, and the woman knows she doesn't want to have sex in a month and then still goes on a date with you. I don't think that type of dialogue happens, but y'all please let me know. Okay. The problem is that women don't tell you how long they want to wait. And like I'm saying, the problem is that men don't tell us how long they're willing to wait. Why both parties need to be transparent. Transparency, communication, like these are the things that we're talking about, and it's not happening. Women know instinctively if they want to smash. Yeah. But this is the thing, like, knowing that I want to smash is not the equivalent of me saying, okay, we should smash. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I think this is how you guys also kind of categorize women when you think about who can be taken seriously or not. The woman who you think is a wife material because she might only have a few bodies, you think that when y'all first met, she didn't know she wanted to have sex with you, but she had enough discernment and willpower to wait until a certain level in the relationship was reached. So yeah, I can know I want to smash you, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to do it. Men don't want to wait. Point blank period. Point blank period, sis. They don't want to wait. They want to have sex when they want to, but then also criticize people for having sex too soon. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. 30 to 60 days. But in 2023, I'm a grown adult. So if I want to have sex, just ask her. Right. Women should pay for all the dates if they're going to make a man wait long. Or y'all could just go on free dates. Why is this even an argument? Like, I just feel like there's so many things that people could do for free. And pay for all the dates or pay for herself. Like, I just feel like we get so caught on these little nitpicky things. Like, why is this a thing? And I don't know, maybe this is just how I grew up. We didn't have a whole lot of money, but my dad always found things for us to do. He would be in the newspapers looking up free things for us to do as a family. We would go to like the dollar movies early in the daytime where it was 50 cents. Like, there's so many things that you could do that's cheap. So it's not breaking your bank. But I think people just like to be argumentative. You're not giving me this, so I can't give you that. Blah, blah, blah. Me. That's why we don't go anywhere. But okay, I digress. I digress. Being a man, I could say men will wait for the right one because the right one will bring value. Men will shift for value as long as he is clear with what his intentions are. Some dudes aren't. I agree. Yeah, and I think a lot of people aren't clear on what their intentions are. I think that some people, and women do this too, so it's not one-sided. People like to say that they want a relationship or they want a commitment, and then when it comes right in their face, you start to realize if you're ready or not. Like, you start running, you get scared. Oh, I can't do this. All these things happen. What if there's better options out there? You start doing all these things in your mind because you're not ready. But that's you not being clear on what your intentions are. It's weird. Right. That's how I feel too. It is supposed to happen organically. So I can't say a set time. But I'm going to tell you right now, I think the first date is too soon. Please don't take me on the first date and think I'm going to smash you because it's not going to happen. That is like bare minimum rule. But yeah, there's not a specific time frame. Sex starts the second we say hi. So if you're making us wait 5 dates, men know you're playing games and will ghost. Sex starts the second we say hi. Well, goddamn, I done had sex with a lot of people. I said hi to all the people in this chat. So, hello, y'all. I guess I got over 50 bodies. Like, what the hell? Hi. Please explain that. Like, what? Child. Y'all be saying anything out here. Y'all be saying anything out here. Sex is like the frosting on the cake. But we rush to get frosting and not realizing the cake is delicious or nasty. Got to make the cake together in the right order. Okay, talk to him. Yes. Transparency. I have standards as a man. For me, we should wait till we are married. If you don't agree, that's fine. I am done. Solomon, I'm actually interested to know, do you have women who tell you, like, if you communicate this, yeah, I can't wait until marriage, so it's not going to work out? And if so, I want to know how frequently that happens, because that'll kind of help us understand the mindset of women. Okay, SC, I'm sorry. I made a mental note that you asked this question before. We can answer it. I just didn't want to go on a tangent, but let's see. So SC wants to know, while dating, when should it turn into a relationship? And is it necessary to meet each other's parents? What do you guys think? Okay. I would say, when should it turn into a relationship? I think that it should turn into a relationship when you are confident with the person that you've met enough to know that you are not going to be seeking attention from other people. So, for example, most people date multiple people at once, right? Especially out here in these Atlanta dating streets. You better know that people are going on dates with other people. Um, when I feel like I've dated someone to the point where they're my main focus and they make me feel safe, and we've had the questions, the conversations that involve the questions that I use to vet them, and I like their answers, I feel confident about those things, then I think that it can progress into we're just focusing on each other. Is it necessary to meet each other's parents? I think yes. I feel like we've talked about this on one of my live streams before. Um, before I say this, why do you think people nowadays are resistant to let people meet their family? Because what I'm finding is that, like, with this comment, no woman will ever meet my family until there's a ring on her finger. I would like to think that seeing how that person interacts with your family, it kind of lets you know if you want to get to that point. But that logic is lost. So what is it? Is it that we're just afraid to bring people around our families because we're not confident with our family dynamic? Or like, why is that such an intimate thing? Hmm. Hold on. So, Essie, we didn't forget about your question, the question about how many dates until commitment. Someone said by the fifth date, what are we? I think the fifth date is fair. Like, if we're going on 5 dates, not even like what are we? No, I'm not gonna say that. Hold on, rewind. I'm not transitioning necessarily into a relationship with someone by the fifth date, but I think we can start talking about, okay, like, are you dating other people? How do you see this moving forward? Like, then you can start focusing a little bit more. But I don't know. Cause like, if you go on a date, multiple dates, for example, let's say I see you twice a week, you're hitting the fifth date by like the second week of your dating process. And for some people, that might be too soon. But I don't know. I think by the fifth date, though, like, y'all should know if y'all just focusing on each other. That doesn't necessarily mean it's reached the point of a relationship, though. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Ah, Patricia said, F them parents. No, get out of here. Don't say that, sis. Don't say that, sis. Your first impression is your best with their fam. Okay. This is, yes, some people families won't know how to act, unfortunately. And this is the thing, right? So that's why I was asking, like, is it really that you just see, why do we see meeting family so intimate, right? Because your family can typically weed out people for you, assuming you have a healthy family. But I think a lot of us don't have healthy families. And so we're worried about bringing people that we like into that family dynamic too soon because we feel like we might be judged for our families. I can understand that viewpoint, but I'm just wondering if you guys think like that too. Better introduce them to your family for vetting assistance. I agree. You should meet the parents, especially the mom. It can give you a view of who your lady will grow to become in some way. Ooh, can we talk about that? Can we talk about that? Can we talk about that? Men, do you guys agree with this? Like, if you meet a person's mom or if you meet other women in her family, do you assume that's how she's going to become? Because I guess my question would be, what happens to the people who they come from a family that's dysfunctional, but they're trying to break, or they are breaking generational cycles and they're not really like their family? Do you just assume that they're the same because they're family? Mm. So love isn't inviting. Mm. Grit Bam Powell says, notice how love as an abiding principle has not come up once. There should be a base love for a person, not based on attraction. That makes ghosting impossible and puts sex in its place. I think that just kind of speaks to the fact that sex is very surface level to people nowadays. Like I said, I think people were struggling with the concept of like, oh, you're not having sex with somebody by like the second date or whatever number you guys said. I have to actually feel something for you to want to go to that point because it means something to me. But I don't think sex means things to people. And that's your prerogative, but Futuristic Mac, thank you for the super chat. Says, sometimes I be checking for women's safety and whole time they just ghosted me after acting like everything was all perfect. Yeah. And that's disrespectful. That's not right. Like I'm saying, like if you see that somebody's posting on social media, if you see that somebody's posting on social media and they're ignoring you, that's a problem. Now, if they just disappeared off the face of the earth, I think it's valid to wonder if they're okay, but that's often not the case. My ex-wife became everything her mom was that she hated about her mom. So yes, I agree. Yeah, we often become what we try to avoid, as they say. Okay, what else we got? It can be a glimpse into someone they may become unless they resent their family, but they most likely will have some of their family tendencies regardless. I agree with that. I think I'm kind of in this predicament as well. I don't agree with a lot of the things that my family does, but I do make an active effort to not be that way. But I think there's gonna still be some things. I think this is where communication comes into play, right? A lot of us come from families where a lot of people didn't get nurtured. You feel like you didn't really have a voice, and that's why we struggle with communication. And as we see now, it's kind of transferring into our adult situations with ghosting and things of that sort. So I agree, like you can really resent something and still become it. But that's where that awareness comes into play. And I think this is why you have to point out things to people when they're behaving in a manner that's detrimental. Because chances are, if you grew up in a situation where people didn't communicate, that's your norm, right? Not communicating is normal to you. It takes for you to get around people who do come from a space where they feel healthy or feel comfortable with communicating to know that what you're doing is wrong. And this is why I said I think we're responsible for other people's growth, right? Everything just kind of comes full circle. Futuristic Mac, thank you for the super chat. I know social media stopped, but maybe I should check that they're active and just act accordingly. Hell yeah. If somebody is ghosting me, that's the first thing I'm looking at. Were you active? You know how Instagram tell you they were active 55 minutes ago. If my last text to you was a week ago and you didn't respond, yeah, that's the heavy indicator for sure. It is disrespectful, Rome Rush. Yes. I have a funny story about ghosting that changed my perspective on it. Well, let us know, Kendrick. Because right now, the stuff that you've been saying ain't funny. I don't know where you're coming from with some of this stuff. So please let us know what happened that changed your perspective. So I was talking to someone recently, and this is actually interesting. I asked them how they felt about ghosting. And his perspective is that our egos cause us to believe that people should give us a reason for why they're being distant. What do you guys think about that? We are egotistical in the sense that people owe us to tell us why they're distant. He was like, I mean, people have life stuff going on. We shouldn't make it about us. The need to make it about ourselves is an internal problem. I didn't resonate with that, obviously, as I've been saying, but I'm curious to know what you guys think. Samuel Lewis, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for being here. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much. I think you might have been the biggest one tonight, if I'm not mistaken. So I appreciate your support. Ooh, talk about it. Communication is a skill that must be worked. When you see people at a table grabbing dinner and they are texting each other when they could talk to each other verbally, bad sign. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, you ghosting is a response to me. Yeah. Okay. So I think just some of my takeaways from this conversation so far is that ghosting or like cutting people off, it might seem like it's remedial to you. Like for you, it's not a big thing, but I really feel like it's linked to deeper issues. I feel like I keep saying this, but I think there's something that goes on with people, their childhood, their family dynamic, past relationship experiences. Something happened where they just feel like communication, it isn't a positive thing. Communicating during conflict. whether that be you think the person isn't going to be receptive to it, because that came up in the conversation. You just don't like uncomfortable conversations. You feel or you tell yourself that you don't owe people anything. That all circles back to something that's deeper rooted. And I think that everybody should be reflecting on that, because still, like I've been saying, we almost 2 hours in now. I still have yet to hear something that at least resonates with me for why ghosting is okay. And I think that's something that people should reflect on. We often give ourselves excuses for why we do things to stay in a state where we have unhealthy behaviors, because it's a lot easier than kind of looking ourselves in the mirror and be like, what you're doing right now isn't right. We protect our egos. Ryan Bloom, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. That's so sweet. Much love to you. Ghosting isn't my issue. It's trying to slide back like nothing happened is a true problem, right? Yeah, if you ghost me, I'm probably not letting you back in my life. We got to have a conversation about it. And I think the conversation makes it so that I don't have resentment towards you. Like, I wouldn't hate you. Like the guy who I told you guys ghosted me. If I saw him out in public, I would say hi, but he will never get access to me like that again. Like, of course, you have to have your boundaries and, you know, have standards, be respectful of yourself, command respect from others. But I still think that dialogue is needed. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap this up. I said that I wasn't going to be on here for longer than an hour, and it is now 2 hours, but I hope that you guys got something from this. I think that at the end of the day, communicating is important. And my concern is that if a person is not able to have difficult conversations with people who don't really matter to them or don't have a deep connection with them, in the sense that this should be an easy conversation to have, but you're resistant to having it, it does make me a little bit concerned that if we get into a serious relationship, you might be a little bit nervous to have conflict, like real conflict, because there's a lot more anxiety or just fear with having difficult conversations when you actually care about someone. So ghosting is always going to be a no for me. I can't do it. Yeah, so I think that's it, y'all. We're gonna wrap this up. I appreciate y'all. I really like these live streams. I know I don't have a set date that we've been doing them, but I do want to do them at least once a week. So you guys stay tuned. Keep your post notifications on for the next live stream. As always, stay safe, stay blessed, and until next time, y'all. Bye.